So I assume
okay, you can. Yes, you can start now. We are live.
Perfectly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining. And I also want to thank TRA for giving us all this opportunity to present. My name is Zoran Lazarevic. I am Chief Technology Officer for Middle East and Africa here at Ericsson. The presentation which we're gonna have today is named 5G Platform for Innovation. And I am Chief Technology Officer, but we really tried to make this presentation not too much technical. We're going to have some technical details, but this is mostly to show from use case point of view what is possible to do with 5G. It will cover some technical details also, but it's mostly to inspire you, and motivate you to use 5G for the new use cases. So let's start. Let's start with this slide, which maybe you've seen in different versions earlier, is what 5G is bringing. If you look at the previous generation, and we start with 2G, this was voice. That was the big use case for 2G. And then with 3G, we start browsing internet. First iPhone was actually 3G iPhone. So this is when we start really efficiently browsing the internet. And then soon speed and capacity which 3G was offering was not sufficient, particularly if you want to have videos. And videos is the main generator for the whole traffic consumption. So that's where 4G came. 4G was really booming the smartphones and giving enough capacity to have all these video streams. And now we come to 5G. And the question is, what is 5G? What is the new what 5G is bringing? Well, we like to say that 5G is really the game changer. All the previous generations was focusing on end user, on us, on consumers. And that's what we was covering. It was covering consumer for the voice. It was covering consumers when it comes to data, video, traffic, browsing the internet. But now with 5G, we are addressing also industry. We are addressing also machines. We are addressing multiple industries. And that's a big change, really, which 5G is bringing. 5G is also bringing technology advances, and probably you heard that it's much faster, so it brings speed, and latency is important. This is something which is critical. We was not considering latency in the previous generation of the technology. Latency, what latency means is if you are controlling the drone or something, this is the time that you send the signal to that device and it comes back. So how fast you can interact with some device. This is what is latency. And of course, now when we are talking about industry, we're talking about machines, latency becomes super important. Security is important, reliability. This again, it's very much related to industry and some of the use cases. We are talking that 5G will be used for remote surgery. Of course, you want to have super reliable system and security. It's talking about this. One, and I think you heard about this. I don't think this is new to you. What may be new is slicing. And in this technical part of presentation where I was addressing, I will address this concept because I didn't think this is important. This is something which is becoming hot this year. This is something which we can do now with the latest version of 5G, which is 5G standalone. And I'm assuming majority of application use cases which you're going to build will use slicing. So that's going to be technical part which we're going to address. Maybe you heard this terminology already before slicing, but now we're going to go a little bit details, saying what does it mean and showing some examples. Let's get now back and look at the industry as such. What's happening when we're talking about 5G? What's happening? We're talking about mobile industry. Ericsson is having producing twice a year mobility report for already 10 years. If you haven't seen so, one, I really highly recommend you to go to Ericsson site or just search mobility report Ericsson, and you're going to see it's become really industry standard. So what we are doing at that mobility report, we are looking how what's happening in industry with the traffic, with the trends in industry, and then we're also predicting what's expecting to happen in the future. So you see information like this. You see this red bar showing traffic growth, how traffic was growing. As I said, it's 10 years here. We are presenting from 2014, but we have from 2010, 2011 information. And the trend is the same. It's exponential trend. For last 10 years, as we are following, it's exponential trend in increasing the traffic. Next thing, information which you can see is subscription or technology what users are using, on what kind of technology devices are based. We call this subscription. This is how we distinguish what kind of device and what kind of connection, subscription to the operator users are having. And here you can see that in end of 2021, we was having 8.1 billion mobile users, and majority of them was using 4G. So that is dominant technology. And then we had respectful 660 million 5G users by end of 2021. You'll see that this is great growth, and we compare how it was growing with 4G. But here also you see predictions. So here we come to prediction, and we are saying that by 2027, majority of the subscriptions will be 5G subscription globally. 49% of subscriptions of devices will be based on 5G by 2027. And this is global. It's very interesting to look at our market here in GCC, and then you're gonna realize something which we are already seeing for quite some time, that the GCC market is one of the most advanced market when it comes to 5G deployment. Here is the same time frame, and by 2027, 80% of devices in GCC will be 5G devices. So really, it's going to be dominant technology. Already now, we're seeing strong decline in 4G. 4G is dominant technology now, and it's going to be slow decline. Here you see also earlier technology, 3G and 2G. As you see, interestingly, 3G is expected to die out, to be replaced faster than 2G. 2G is a little bit resistant. But in both sides, 5G is dominant, and then we have 4G. This is the slide which I was referring to. We are comparing for quite some time how uptake was for LTE, for 4G, and how uptake is for 5G. So we are assuming the same time frame. We are saying 4G was introduced in 2009. So let's see on the first 9 years how it was uptake, and then let's compare what we think what's going to happen in 5G. So of course, for the first 2-3 years, we already have the data. 5G already launched it in 2018. We was having a network here launched in UAE in 2019, beginning of or middle of 2019. So we already have some 3 years data, and we see that uptake for 5G is much faster than 2G. It's actually 2 times faster, 2 years in advance for 2G, for 4G compared to 4G. If you see this breaking point when we had exponential growth in 4G, it was happening after 5 years of interception. Here with 5G, expecting this to happen after 2.5, 3 years. So this is now actually time which we are living, 2021, 22. This is the time where we are really expecting, maybe more 22, where we're expecting really that we're going to see exponential uptake in the number of devices. And this is super important. This is important for what you are doing, what you're planning to do, because for you, it's important how big is the market, how many people are using 5G globally, so that whatever application use case you're developing, that as much as possible potential customers you have, which going to use this application. So it's much faster in 5G than in 4G. And we can say this year, really, we can see this breaking point where we can see exponential growth. Right. So why 5G uptake is so strong? Why industry, if you want, is investing so much in 5G? And to answer this question, I like to look at this picture. And what this picture is showing? This picture is showing operators' revenue development from 1990 to 2023. What does it mean? It's meaning that revenue which all operators globally made every year, starting from 1990 when we started with 2G. And you see very interesting that revenue for operators, which is revenue for industry, you can take as a proxy, was really exponentially growing sometimes until 2005, 2006. And then it starts to be flat. And this is the case for last 10 years or more, that we have this flat revenue. In that respect, actually, industry is struggling. So operators are not making much revenue increase. If operators not making much revenue increase, that means the whole industry is not Ericsson as a vendor. Of course, everybody is in the same boat. There is a high expectation that this trend, which is flat, will be broken with 5G. It will be broken with 5G because 5G is addressing not only businesses which are addressed as of now, which is consumers. We were saying that as of now, 2G, 3G, 4G, all this technology was addressing only consumer business, dominantly, we can say. And now we said with 5G, it's also addressing industry-related use cases, going outside of the current business models. And this is where industry is really expecting it's going to be new revenue streams. And this is the reason why we see that heavy investment from industry in the 5G. That's why we are seeing that faster. One of the reasons why we are seeing this faster development, adoption, I would say, of 5G, because there is a high expectation that this adoption will result, this investment in deploying 5G will result in higher revenue. We have a little bit more slides to represent. Ericsson has a number of studies. And here's one very good information. Again, this is public information which you can access. 5G for Business 2030 Market Compass, where you can see the slides and much other details estimating business potential from 5G, particularly when we look into industry side. And what you can see there? First, you can see that growth, year-on-year growth expected from this revenue stream from the industry is much faster than we are having from consumer revenue stream. So from consumer revenue stream, it's expected it's going to be almost flat to continue this 0.75%. This is what we are seeing growth for the last couple of years. I mean, couple of years is 10 years or something. So almost no growth, below 1%. Not for everybody. Some advanced operators will grow more, and that's what we are discussing. So it's still, there is a lot of money to be here, but industry related will grow much more. It's starting from the lower base, of course, but still end figure how much this industry related revenue stream will impact operators' revenue is very significant. Here, that's what you can see on the right side. As I said, it's starting from the lower base, but very strong growth is expected. And by 2030, it's expected that operators will make up to 35% of total revenue only from these industry related use cases. And this you can directly relate to your use cases and innovations which you're trying to think. So this is the growing market. I like to use this analogy in when we start 4G, this is first application, Facebook, everything, all of this is starting a little bit maybe before 4G, but this is the time where those applications were starting and then they grab the market. So this is the situation very much when it comes to industry-related use cases. So this is the moment now when we're going to see the first application over 5G serving industry will start, and they will obviously have potential to grab a lot of the market in the future. One more angle and one more aspect confirming the same as the same fact of what we are saying here, the same data which we was presenting is this study from ABI Research. Again, this is very good report to read for, and you have the link here to that report. And what it is looking from different angle, but it's the same conclusion. It's looking that industry will start replacing wireline connection with wireless connection in the factories. It's going to have a great savings. It's going to get savings that this robot, so everything what we use in the factory is not connected with a cable, but they are connecting wirelessly, so it's going to be freely moved across the factory flow. And of course, this will bring efficiency. The whole idea of digitalization, of course, is to bring efficiency. And this is an estimation of what ABI was stating in this document, stating that number of wireless connection in industry will grow 100 times over next during this decade up to end 2030, greatly exceeding number of fixed connections in the industry. So all indication is there that 5G will be very important for industry digitalization. That it's a lot of revenue potential there for from 5G, and it is not only for operators. Definitely not only for operators. Operators, as Etisalat and do here in UAE, they play their role. They need to provide connectivity, but it's expected that they will not create all these use cases. They don't have competence. They don't have, if you want, manpower and interest, maybe really to work on this. It's expected that it's going to be third-party applications, and their job is to enable that this third-party application efficiently can be deployed on their network. This is where they're going to have the focus, but it's going to be many startups which are going to bring this application, and of course they're going to get big part of this cake, revenue cake which 5G will enable. Right, now we're going to go to the second part, which is a little bit technical, where I will try to cover slicing and the differences between 5G non-standalone and standalone. So a couple of technical slides will be covered through this section. So here first I want to compare what is 5G non-standalone and 5G standalone. Maybe you heard about it. Sometimes somebody was saying this 5G standalone is the real 5G. And there is a reason to name it as a real 5G. So here I want to just highlight what's the difference, what new we are bringing for 5G standalone, and what's the repercussions of that, what's benefits of 5G standalone. And by the way, this is what is happening now in the majority of the operators and countries here in GCC. We have already just introduced, or we're introducing 5G standalone, actually operators introducing 5G standalone. So let's look at the difference. What is 5G non-standalone? This is the one standard which was used when we start introducing 5G, how 5G standalone works. So in each and every mobile network, you have a couple of nodes. You have mobile device, of course, that you know. But then on the back end, you have something which called base stations, which is like antenna, some equipment, some computing equipment if you want, and then antenna. And then at the end you have, we call it core network, but you can say it's the brain for the whole system. So this is all base stations are connected to that core network in the end. So what is 5G non-standalone? In 5G non-standalone, and of course you have 4G base station, you have 3G base station, 2G base station, and now we are bringing 5G base station. What is unique for 5G standalone is that 5G base station is not connected directly to core network for something which we call control plane. But the bottom line, it cannot be alone. It requires this 4G base station to be connected to the core network. And that core network is actually the same core network as 4G. So first, this is why we are calling this 4G non-standalone. And secondly, you understand if a brain of the network, this core network, which is controlling all the system is the same, then that also means that there's limited improvements. So this 5G base station will boost speed. This 5G base station will lower the latency, but improvement which is bringing it's going to be limited because we are counting on the same old brain of the network. There's also some other uniqueness in the 5G non-standalone. This is a very interesting one, is that 5G device is connected simultaneously to both 4G and 5G technology. You never had it before, that one device is talking the same time to do technology, to do 2G and 3G at the same time. It's going to be only one technology, switching between technology, but only one. This talking to two. And this is because 5G cannot speak by itself to the core network. It's required 4G. So this is 5G non-standalone. This was first deployment. This is what we have actually majority of our globally and majority operators here. What we're introducing now, what operators introducing now, they're introducing a new core network, new brain. And this so-called 5G core. And with that core network, we are bringing a lot of capabilities. So we are using this base station, we are using antenna, spectrum, everything, but now we are getting new core network. Now we don't need any more 4G base station. Core 5G can be directly connected to that core network and can unleash all these capabilities which 5G is promising. So let's take a look. What is these capabilities? Okay, before that, and slicing, which I was mentioning, is one of the key capabilities. But before going that, I want also to highlight from the evolution point of view, how it was happening, what we was doing, and where we are at the moment. So I said, first we have 4G. We have some number of base stations, radiating frequency. We have these different frequencies. That's what we are representing this with green layers. And now, the first we was introducing 5G in hotspot area, some of the areas where it is the highest traffic. That was happening in 2018, 19 here in UAE. Next step was to provide countrywide coverage. And this is pretty much where we are now, and the majority of UAE is with 5G, and other countries here with 5G. I mean, still probably there's some areas where we don't have 5G, but majority of the areas has 5G. So that's where we are now. And then this is next step, what is coming. Next step is to add that core network, that new core network, which gonna enable all these industry-related use cases, enable all these capabilities, slicing being one of the most important. And then at the end, I mean, everything will be 5G. We're gonna start shutting down 4G. We're gonna add this millimeter wave new frequency, which was not possible to use before. I was showing how much traffic is growing. We don't think that traffic will slow down. We're gonna think traffic growth will increase. So you need really 5G to cope with all this capacity in it. 5G is much more efficient, and that's gonna happen as the next step. So I already mentioned a couple of times slicing. So now I will go a little bit in details explaining what is slicing, and then I will illustrate with some examples and videos showing really use cases over slicing and how it works and how you can utilize capabilities, slicing capabilities in 5G standalone network. So first, to define what is slice, what is slicing? Slicing is the logical network. So this is logical network within one physical network. Different use cases will have different requirements. Good example is, for instance, we want to use one network to serve end users as you and me on regular requirements, but then also the same network should serve mission critical a communication, like let's say police, ambulance, first responder. Their requirements are completely different from our requirements. Reliability is very high. It's expensive to build two networks with different characteristics. Slicing is enabling us that we have one network in which we're gonna slice logical networks, which gonna have different characteristics, different reliability, and they're gonna act as completely independent networks. And by doing this, we can do this efficiently. We can build hundreds of thousands of slices, 100,000 networks serving individual use cases. So we build a network. It's look like that network is fully dedicated to one use case and completely serving requirements of this use case. And that requirements may be completely different from requirements from other use case. This is what is slicing. And as I said, it is not really a new concept. We can do some primitive slicing even in 2G, 3G, more advanced in 4G or 5G non-standalone. But really, slicing is coming to the next level when it comes to standalone. The whole standard 5G standalone is really created around the slicing. There's many advantages. I mean, how somebody who is operating the network, how easily he can create a slice, how easily he can monitor the slice. That's super important. But from end user perspective, or for somebody who is developing application for slicing, one of the important characteristics is that now we can have slicing, multiple slicing from device. So you can have one slice, and I will show you next example. I'm going to make it more clear. But we can have one device, and in that device we can have different slice per application. If one application on our phone is requesting high reliability slice, low latency slice, it can be done. If other application is not having that kind of requirements, has different requirements, can be done. This can be only possible in 5G standalone. There are many other really benefits with 5G standalone bringing slicing. So this is why we think that slicing, this creating of logical network, building one network serving many different requirements, industry requirements, is very much different from end user consumer requirements. This will be possible now with 5G standalone. So let's take a look at this slicing in device. Let's take a look, and this is again something which is becoming reality. We was just a few months back, we demonstrated with Android 12 and Google Pixel slicing from device, and more phones, devices are supporting this slicing from device, multiple slicing from device, or application slicing from application. So with that capabilities, with 5G standalone and with operating system as Android 12, which is supporting now this slicing from application, let's take a look how our phone will look like. Not in the far future, we can say even this year, definitely next year. This is some example. So let's say that we may have two applications. We are using now Microsoft Teams. We can have two instances of our Microsoft Teams installed on our phone. One will be regular Teams, which we are using to chat with our friends. But then other instances of that same application can be installed with dedicated slice for enterprise use. For your company. Your company may also decide to use Microsoft Teams for conference calls. And for them, it could be very important that quality is always guaranteed, that video is always of the highest quality. And then also when it comes to the payment, they don't want that you cannot make your conference call because there's no prepaid credit on your phone. So the charging payment for this usage or that application will not go to your SIM card. It will go to your company, which is requesting this kind of services from operator. So regardless, do you have prepaid credit on your phone or not, this will always work, and it will work with predefined quality. Or banking application, for instance. We already have banking application, but there's maybe additional requirements we can receive from the bank. For instance, one requirement is that similar to enterprise instance of Teams, that regardless are you having prepaid or you're not having prepaid credit, that it is always working, because for that usage of the communication channel of an interface will be charged not to you as an individual, it will be charged to the bank. So bank has interest that this application is always working so that you can always make a transaction. Second requirements, which may be from the bank, is that this is highly secured connections. They may request that information from the operator's network, from operator's core, will not go to the public internet, even over VPN, to their server, but directly to connect from the operator server, from operator core, directly to the bank server, so that it is highly secured connection. And then you can have many examples. Here we're having similar to Teams to Uber. There's Uber for consumer, which you're going to install and you're going to use it, and you're going to pay for air interface or for the data which you're using. And then could be Uber for the drivers. Again, Uber may want to ensure that this always will work and it's going to look with secure quality, regardless is there credit on the phone or not credit on the phone. Or we have this much more demanding application, like for video processing, WOVZA, which is really high demand when it comes to video quality. And then we can have different video quality based on agreement between the company which is requesting this service and operator. So we can have a slice with different quality of service as per agreement. One good example, and that's where I finish with here, is gaming. Again, for the games, of course, games can require very high requirements from the quality point of view. They may require high throughput. They may require also very low latency so that you can have good response when you are playing. So there's going to be special slice created only for the gaming so that it can be secured. It can be secured that there is a low latency, much lower latency than when using your phone regularly, and that also throughput is sufficient enough so that quality of service for end user for the gaming experience is the same as they are directly connected to the device. I have now one video which is showing different aspects of slicing, and let me just introduce quickly here. You're going to see a utility company from Sweden, and that utility company is having, this is industry use case, utility company is having also nuclear power plants. And for nuclear plant parts, of course, security is top. And they need to do surveillance, permanent surveillance for this nuclear power plant. And how it was done as of now, you send the people to go there and to do surveillance. What they're introducing now is to do over the drone. But security, again, is here super important. You're going to see from the video, for them, it's super important that separate slice is created, and the information which was recorded from this drone is neither stored on the drone, neither this information goes to any public network. So again, from the drone, it will go to the operator's core network, and then from operator core network directly connected to the server from utility company, so that highly secured information is not going to public domain. So let's take a look at this video. I hope sound will work. Please, I will ask you to let me know if sound is not working so that I can try to reshare it again. So let's start.
The drone market is taking off. By 2025, we will have 28,000 commercial drones in the Nordics and Baltics. And Telia has a role to play in this.
It is working. Sound is working.
Ensuring that
Perfect.
it happens
Thanks
in a
so
safe
much.
way. But to start, we decided to go out and meet our customers to understand their needs and desires.
Vattenfall is the leading European energy company with approximately 20,000 employees. We have supplied industries and homes with electricity and energy for more than 100 years. One of our assets is the Ringhals nuclear power plant, located on the Swedish west coast. As a nuclear facility, Ringhals has a high demand on security. The site is inspected regularly in order to keep it safe and to prevent possible intrusion. Today, these inspections are mainly carried out by cars, but by using drones, we can act faster and get a better overview of the site.
There has been ways to live stream from a drone before, but it hasn't been secure enough and has latency issues because it's not an end-to-end optimized data flow. With Telia Drone Inspection Service, we have created an easy-to-use and secure solution.
We are using the telecom network to live stream video and control drones in a secure way. This opens up for new opportunities when we can fly long distances beyond visual line of sight. When sharing the drone's view directly with an expert, you can shorten the time to decision and remotely support drone pilots in the field.
We can boost our efficiency by looking at inspections in real time. Data security is extremely important for us, so it is crucial that the information from the drone goes directly into the backbone of our system. With Telia's solution, we can do that. No information is stored on the drone.
5G will have a huge impact on drones. Low latency.
As it was said, it is. I think it's easy to understand where is the saving here, and that's generally what we're saying with 5G and industry digitalization. All this use case 5G should enable more efficiently to do the things. It should enable us to do things which we were not doing before, but what we are doing, it should be much more efficient. I think they are doing supervision with the cars, and people now they can do with the drones. Of course, it's much more efficient, but it must be secured, but it must be reliable. And that we can do if we can create slice in the network, logical, completely separate network, completely fulfilling requirements for this one industry, one enterprise. That's advantage of the slicing. It's not only devices like mobile phones or drones which going to be using a 5G network. There's many other devices, and one which I think all of us should be aware is this augmented reality. Probably you heard augmented reality a long time. It's a glasses which combine real what you see picture and some picture which is imposed over the network picture which is combined with your real picture, and that you can do many things. Very famous one is that remote maintenance. If somebody need to fix some very complex machine and which is not broken all the time, it's very expensive to have all the experts sitting all over the world to react once in a couple of years when something like this happens. It's much better to have centralized resource which can help, and then he can guide online through this augmented reality anybody on the site how to do this complex repair by giving the drawings, instruction, exactly pinpointing which part of machine should we touch and fix. Similarly for healthcare, similarly for construction. I mean, there is a really endless possibilities. But why I'm bringing this picture, why I had this title, 22 billion investment augmented reality, I want to say that industry is heavily investing into this. I don't know, did you notice this from BBC News? but many people many agency was highlighting this, that US government is investing $22 billion in with Microsoft to use this augmented reality for military. I mean, many good things really started by developing for military, and then it moved to civilian. So there's a high expectation. And I think it's in the reality, it's sooner than later that they're going to see augmented reality. Really, these devices, which are still a little bit bulky, which are still a little bit slow, are improved on the level that we're going to start using them, at least for industrial use cases. Probably it won't be so cheap at the beginning, but also probably moving into consumer use cases later on. Now I have one more video. I was mentioning this drone, and I think this is a good example to go again to technicality. Now I'm going to go a little bit in technical side, and I will go in a little bit details to show what does it mean that you're using drone for supervision. This is a different example. This here drone is used to supervise some high altitude crane in the port, but you have many of this kind of high altitude location which you need to do supervision of this. So it's much better to do drone than to send people to climb. But what I will show you here is what system is offering to company which want to offer these use cases, how this is in reality it's working. So here I'm going to mention some technicalities, going into detail, showing you what is the slicing and what is APIs, what kind of functions we're exporting outside of our 5G system to the third-party companies as startup companies which are going to use capabilities of 5G to offer some use cases. That's very important. You're going to develop some software. That software needs to use capabilities of the 5G system, 5G core network to add the value. That capability is exported through APIs. So here I'm going to explain a little bit on high level how this works. So let's take a look at this video. Again, there is a voice, so I hope this will work well. Let me know if it's not working. So as I said, this is example of using drone for supervision. And then here you see that the task, how it starts. The drone is located somewhere, I don't know, far away from the target. And it's defined just in coordinate system, fly there. So it's not manually controlled. It's just coordinate system, so drone is flying by itself. This we can do also today. When it comes close to the target, then the magic starts. So as of at the beginning, it's using regular channel, the same as 4G channel. Transfer the video, best effort video, which is not perfect. And also it's not allowing low latency. We cannot really fly the drone. I will stop the video now just to, I'll try to stop the video now. Yes. 4G doesn't have this low latency, so we cannot really fly the drone in the 4G. If you move the lever on the remote control, it's going to be too slow before drone starts moving. So it won't be practical. So we need the slow latency. When you move the lever, your joystick, you want immediate response. So we're talking about some milliseconds, tens of milliseconds, so that it's practical for human to control something like this. So at the beginning, starting from the where drone is located to the target, it's just flying without any control from the people, from the person, and it's just sending the best effort video. When it comes closer to the target, then we are creating that new slice, ultra reliable low latency slice, for two things. We are creating for the so that we can start controlling the drone. So we can start controlling the drone, and also that we can send high definition video, because now we want to inspect this high crane. We want to see all the details, all the bolts. Is there any corrosion or something? So we need high definition video from the drone. So we are starting the slice. And what's important, it's not somebody who is sitting in operator's premises. It's not something which is somebody who is connecting the core network software. It's not there with Etisalat and to control this drone. We are exposing capabilities outside to the third-party software created by some startup, which is taking control completely over the drone. So here, this API's exposure is very important. And this is, again, what we have in 5G standalone and we was not having before. So it's a lot of capabilities which we can expose to APIs. Your software will use these APIs to take over control, to demand some of the quality of service, to demand location of this drone, to demand that it can start commanding the drone and controlling the device into system. So this is what really 5G standalone is offering, which was not possible, or it was very basically possible before. So let's continue and see how this works. Okay, now I think I made a mistake here. I need to stop laser points, and now we can jump. Yes, here it was. So this is that slice, separate slice is created for low latency control of the drone and for high video resolution. And then you see it. So this is the person who is sitting, not related to Etisalat, it's it's sitting outside of the operator with the software which is used only for this purpose, flying the drone, taking high definition video from the drone, and then finishing the mission, whatever it's required. When it's done, of course, then again, it's going to this automatic mode. It's going back to the same coordinate system. We can release that high, ultra low latency slice, which was used during operation. So two things was mentioned here. So practically slice, you get quality, but also APIs. That's crucial component for your software to work. You need to use these APIs. You need to be able to demand some kind of capabilities from the core network to control and use these capabilities in your software in your use case. Right, I have a few more slides. I was focusing mostly on industry-related use cases. And this is by purpose, because this is where we really expect that 5G will shine. This is where we really expect that 5G going to have the biggest difference compared to any previous technology or any previous G. But of course, 5G is also very important for consumer use cases. We're going to have this video reality. We're going to have this VR gaming and many other use cases. And to stimulate that creation of use cases, to connect startups with operators, we was creating this program which we called 5G Startup, and this is exactly what we are doing. So on one side, we are communicating to operators as STC, Etisalat, Mobile Edu. On the other side, we have a connection with companies which are producing software for this consumer-related 5G-based use cases and hardware, because many of these use cases are not using the phone. Many of these cases are using some new devices as virtual reality, augmented reality devices. So we are connecting all of these parties and trying to stimulate the market to deploy these use cases. So why I'm bringing this on, maybe some of your proposals, some of startups which you're going to create will be part of this program, and we can push through this program to help you to promote this use case globally. Because this is, of course, you see some of the operators from US, from Germany, from Japan, all over the world. What kind of use cases is there? Again, if you go to there is a Ericsson webpage. All of these links which you see here, it's a public link, so you can go there and explore further. But there's actually a catalog of use cases which are already created. It's good for you also to see. Not all of them is visible on the webpage, but you want to get the feeling, and maybe you've been inspired, or at least you cross-check. You make sure that what you're trying to develop is not already developed by some other company. So there is a number of use cases here. Again, I'm going to show you one more video. This is the last video of one of the use cases presenting by our research lead, which is leading this project, Christina Pandea. So let's take a look at this interesting use case, interception HR.
Immersive education is a strong use case for 5G, particularly in the context of current lockdowns and homeschooling. Inception XR is doing what we call edutainment. They're combining elements of education and entertainment. It is reading and calculus, and on the other hand, immersive augmented reality content.
Our collaboration with Ericsson started as we both had a shared vision to try and see how can we create the best consumer use cases for 5G. So what we have done, we have developed a network adaptive engine that actually delivers different content depending on the type of environment you're in. What this means, if you take an example of one of our under the water scenes, if you're on 5G, you're seeing more fish, more coral, and this actually creates a much, much richer experience.
The network adaptive applications that Inception XR is building are the perfect fit for service providers who want to target 4G and 5G users with a single application and at the same time be able to differentiate the experience over 5G.
So you see, this is one of the startup companies and what they are really doing. So the main thing, there's already augmented reality. And I think it's a good idea to combine this augmented reality with fun for the kids, for education. So they can learn through these characters. But what is really contribution which they have, they're saying our system is working on both 4G and 5G. So if you're on the 4G, they're going to have less details because it's less throughput, it's lower latency. So you can use it, but it's going to be a little bit reduced experience. And then if you're 5G, it's going to also work in 5G, but you're going to have much better experience. And it's also promoting actually to increase usage of the new technology of the 5G. So this is my last slide, and here I'm just keeping some references, which I think it's good to go and check on our Ericsson webpage. So first is that reference to that 5G Start program. I think it's a brilliant idea, to be honest, and I think definitely if you are developing or you're considering to develop some consumer use cases, because this is focusing on consumer use cases, not industry-related use cases. Then I think you may be interested really to be part of the program. And then two more publications which have, very recent publication. One is, I was talking about slicing, and here is talking about what is the 10 use cases which we think it has the biggest potential in the short term. That's also important to understand technology is developing. I mean, there are some great use cases, but it will take time until network is on the level to support this kind of use cases. So we are, I think this is the biggest value from this document is grouping these use cases and directing to which use cases technology is mature enough so that we can offer this in short term, which use cases will going to take more time, because it's, I said, we are deploying 5G standalone, but this is not the final. It will evolve. We're going to have new revision of 5G standalone 1 year from now, 2 years from now. So it's going to be maturing and be capable of more and more support. More complex use case to support. This is not technical document, it's easy to understand document. And finally, I think this is also very good. Every year we are preparing this hot consumer trends. So we look at, we interview a lot of consumers. This is again, consumer, end user, not industry related. And we are asking them what you expect from mobile network, how you want to use your phone in the future, what kind of use cases you would like to have. But it's also good to give you idea what is consumer expectations. So to give idea, okay, what kind of use cases could be easy sell? What kind of use cases consumers will be really interesting to have? So that's my last slide. I think it's it's a good timing. It's 6 minutes, so I will stop sharing now. I don't know, can we have maybe some questions if there's some questions in the chat, or is it possible to have questions asked online?
First of all, Zoran, thank you very much for your presentation. It is always a great pleasure working with Ericsson, and for sure UAE Hackathon is one of the great projects that we are pleased that you join us, and there is many others we are looking forward to work with you on. I have one of the questions that because we already in partnership with many other initiatives, I got a question related to IPv6. Because a lot of usage of the internet based on the older protocol IPv4 has a big limitation for the IP address, including many devices now and IoT infrastructure. For IoT devices, it will need a new way of IP addresses, because the number of devices included in the network becomes very, very huge that can't be included in the old IP address. There is any cooperation with the IBV team to help expanding the number of devices that integrated in the network? There is anything that you are doing with this team or group?
Yes. Let me try to answer. I'm not expert in this area, but let me try to answer in the comment, and I will comment from different perspective. Of course, IP protocol and level is part of 5G, but what we are looking at in 5G, really, we are looking at much lower level, on physical level, and we are looking how to secure and to enable security on the physical level when it comes to communication. And 5G is actually greatly bringing improvements compared to 4G. And again, the reason for this is that because we are addressing completely different use cases. We are addressing use cases which require much higher security, which require much higher reliability. So this is and slicing is one of the reasons, because it is very expensive. Let's say I will talk about reliability. You want to ensure that if you're controlling some robot, that you don't want to happen that you move the joystick and it don't go in this direction. And it's unacceptable. So how are we going to secure this? To repeat the signal many times, we're going to send information a couple of times to the same device to ensure that it receives information. This is the cost, because sending this information many times will delay, it's going to be absolutely impractical to have the same procedure for some other communication, which is not that kind of reliable. So that's why we create the slice, which is going to fulfill that kind of requirement, security, reliability requirements. Of course, on top of this, IPv6 is coming, but really focus on 5G. And there's no limitation when it comes to IPv6, when it comes to 5G, but really focus of standardization, focus on 5G is really to address this lower layer, physical layer, on below IP protocol. And it's doing this greatly. I mean, big improvements compared to 4G. You're on mute, sorry, Mohammed. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And this is Ali here. Mohammed, that was a very interesting question. And I think thank you very much, Zoran. I just wanted to add to that one of the key things when it comes to 5G, and that has been on the minds of the standard development, even at the 4G level, was the IoT domain. And we know that there'll be billions of devices that will be connected when we talk about IoT and massive communication that Zoran gave some excellent examples of. So while we were building our physical layer, and we are talking about the physical layer, and the IP addresses sit on the network layer. So when we talk about the physical layer, whether it was 4G or 5G, there is no limitation clearly in terms of the addressing scheme, whether it's IPv4 or whether we start using IPv6. So from a pure physical layer point of view, we can safely say that we are compatible whether if we want to implement the V6, and there should not be a limiting factor here. So I will put the question back to Mohammed, yourself, and the IEEE folks to say, please, we are there to support you if you want to go forward on this.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Ali. Thank you. Yes, actually, I got the feedback from the committee of IPv6 that the telecom providers are working very closely with them to secure unlimited number of devices that can be integrated to the physical layer. And this is very important for this huge expansion that has happened based on the big number of devices that integrated and using the 5G network. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I think we are on time. Maybe we can I want to thank you all for attending. Once more, thank you, TRA, for giving us opportunity. And I'm assuming here we can close our presentation. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Zoran. I would just say one more, if you allow me, I would just like to add one more.